any of your, Star Wars or any of the films that you like watching, those are rendered worlds, right? And a lot of crisp detail. And so what they found was, while the engineers and the physicists and the biotechnicians there can do the math and think about what's going on inside of a cell or a complex drug issue or, an illness, the ability then of the cinema people working with the other Dornsife people from an arts perspective to kind of visualize that world. And then you and I had a chance, along with some of the other CLOs, to go over to the center where you saw the researcher put on the VR and they were walking inside of a molecule, moving things around, right? And we're sitting in the audience going, holy crap, this is like really fascinating. And then the part that really blew me away, who knew that a music major might actually make the difference in like cancer research? And so they bring out this young kid, and forgive me, I'm older, so everyone who's less than 50 is a kid to me, is getting his PhD in music and haptics, right? And he comes out and he goes, well, my job for the next 3 years in my PhD is inside of this particular cell with the 1,000 different things that are going on to assign a unique haptic to it, because there may be a pattern in music or sound that would allow the researchers to look at it from a completely different perspective. And of course, I'm thinking, Steven Spielberg movies here and Close Encounters, right? But the fact that they're thinking horizontally to solve these really complex problems was a mind-blowing day, and I know everybody just loved that entire event, and hopefully we can do it again when campus opens up.
Yeah, let's hope so. I remember the phrase purposeful collisions, which was how they built that research center to deliberately force people into bumping into each other as a sort of physical manifestation of this sort of cross collaboration that they wanted to happen. As the clock winds down here, Bill, let's talk a little bit about the future. I know that some of the faculty on the JBA have been thinking about, what's going to happen in 2021 and what are the next steps. The big reset research was in part a preparation for that. What are Josh and yourself and the other faculty thinking are going to be the hallmarks of 2021?
So first off, our core mission around some key programs. So we've got a content calendar that we'll be releasing very shortly on really some great topics that really all the practitioners inside of the Academy have been asking about. And so I'm going to hold off on announcing that until we get the formal announcement in a couple of weeks. But there are some really great development programs that are coming that are really going to push kind of the thought process on topics that are of interest to the HR community. We also are launching some expert or master's level classes. So we got feedback on some of our programs of, great that you laid the foundation. Now I understand it. How do I do this? Right. And so we begin the process of interviewing experts to walk through how to think about this problem and the tools they use and the techniques. And by the way, whether it's me or anybody else, when one of our experts is on the platform, you can always just email them directly and reach out if you have questions. That's the beauty of the Academy. So from a content perspective, we're really pushing the acceleration of kind of core foundational knowledge in some of these master's classes to meet the demand of what the community is asking of us. We're also getting just a lot of requests, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves because we have a pretty robust agenda for 2021, but the world of HR is asking us to do some other really interesting things. One of them that will be released here really shortly is a capability assessment for HR professionals, HR talent and learning professionals. And so we spent 2 years really researching and understanding, and I can do a whole podcast and just, how we came down to the capabilities and why we call it capabilities. But we've launched, we've been piloting through the fall here, a really easy assessment that at the individual will allow you to understand your gaps and where do you rate relative to other peers in the same discipline and year group and maybe region and industry. So the ability to benchmark yourself and then as an individual go on your own personal learning journey. But as a leader of a function or the CHRO in an organization, where do you have pockets of capability? Where do you have pockets of need? And how do you, use that to think about strategic workforce planning from an HR perspective, right? And so that's one of the things that's really close to launch and is just right around the corner here. And we've been talking about it. And there are a couple of other surprises that are coming in 2021 that are just right around the corner.
Okay, so a real watch this space call to action there for people. Where can people find out more about you and about the Academy?
Yeah, so, really the starting point for all of this is joshbersin.com. That's where Josh really puts out all of his thoughts. There's over 2,000 free items. Some of them are a little bit, dated in there, but, if you want to look at the historical buildup on a topic, it's kind of interesting to see how people have thought about it. But joshbersin.com is really the entry point for, just that relationship with Josh. And then from there, you can click and get over to the Academy webpage. It's got my profile up there. I'm obviously on the Academy. So if you are a member of the Academy, and by the way, we kept the price point really, really inexpensive. We didn't want price to be a barrier, less than you would pay on Starbucks in the course of a year, right? So it's just to put it out there for individuals. It's $250 a year, unlimited access. And we've been told by many people that's a bargain. And so the ability to interact with me or other Academy professionals, through the platform is always there. But start with joshbersin.com. That'll take you to all the relevant pages, and look for a couple of exciting announcements that we'll be pushing out in Q1 and Q2.
Now you've piqued our curiosity, Bill. One last question I ask everybody who comes on the podcast, and in fact, we just did a whole season on this topic with Danny Johnson and team at Red Thread. Why do you do what you do, Bill? What's your sense of personal purpose?
Well, first a call out to Danny and Stacia over at Red Thread. Talk about some fantastic professionals and, the impact they're making in the marketplace. And if you're listening to this podcast and you haven't been out to their website, you're doing yourself a disservice. Get over there and take a look and see what they're up to, because they're really changing the world in many ways. From my perspective, I think about 2021 and what we're doing. A couple of thoughts. So one, how do we as HR professionals, do we really understand the outsized impact we can have on many people's lives? Beyond, it's not the transactional side of HR, but when we get career development and talent management and learning and upskilling correct for an organization, it's not solving one problem. We could potentially be impacting and changing the lives of 10, 50, 100,000 individuals in your organization. And so really helping HR leaders really get the best of the knowledge that we're capturing out there and getting it to the market as fast as possible. Because when we do that well, we change lives, and we change lives for the better. And that's ultimately what drives Josh and me at this point in our career, right? The second thing is something that Josh talks about a lot. And it's what I've been able to witness, and I'm sure all of us have witnessed. It's really, I think, the evolution of HR to, this behind the scenes, maybe personnel office, it's transaction. I love watching The Office to this day. And, the poor HR guy is always the butt of all the jokes, right? But as you kind of move through that arc there, HR should really be the center of innovation. And it should be seen inside the organization, not as just a cost center or some transactional engine that's just, keeping the lights on among all your people in the organization, but it's a center of innovation where you can actually drive business strategy and provide capabilities. One of the fascinating things, again, about, what happened with COVID was really seeing HR just being elevated to the pointy tip of the spear and trying to solve this problem, working with the CIO in a way that they may never have worked with the CIO before. And so two very senior leaders who in many cases, provide really strong supporting roles to business strategy, now are the business strategy to solve this problem so that the business can get back to work and people can do what they need to do in a safe and harmonious way, right? And so from my perspective, anything we can do from the Academy side that really just kind of elevates the world of HR to solve those problems, to evolve in the way that HR is seen as an organization inside the enterprise and what they contribute. That's why I get up every single day and do what I do right now, is just, the joy of working with a lot of really good people.
Well, Bill, thanks for your time. And certainly you've had the impact on so many people's lives. You're a super well-connected guy, and I have met so many interesting people through you. And I think those connections expand out exponentially. So thanks for all your hard work. Thanks for being on the podcast. And we look forward to these exciting new announcements from JBA.
Sounds good, Chris. Appreciate it. And thanks for all you're doing for the global community in these podcasts. They're really important. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks as always for listening to this episode of Learning is the New Working. Please rate us on your favorite podcast platform, share us with your friends and community, or drop us a note at www.learningisthenewworking.org, where you can find a back catalogue of all our episodes, and learn more and get resources from the amazing people that we've been lucky enough to feature. Please, please, please stay well, stay home, but stay connected, and always stay learning. Thanks.